I want to talk a little bit about branding. Okay, so branding is obviously super important, especially in this business. I don't know about in your market, but in ours, there's like thousands of agents. And so maybe not thousands, maybe like 1,500. But anyways, you get the point. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of realtors to choose from. And so distinguishing yourself from the rest of them is important. Okay. And so there's a couple of things that I think are really, really critical to keep in mind as you're doing that. And number one with branding is to just be you. All right. So if you're country, be country. If you're fancy, be fancy. Whatever you are, the real you is who you should be. It's a lot easier to do that than to try to create some fake persona that you have to, act out every single day. Okay. And so if you're interested in hunting and fishing in the outdoors, then cool. Be that realtor who talks about that kind of stuff and who has that, that type of persona. Wear your cowboy boots and your jeans when you're going to showings and show up in your pickup truck. It's fine. I do that all the time. Okay, and you can do really, really well that way. You don't have to show up in a BMW and a suit. It's totally okay. You can do that too if you want to, and that's your thing. That's great. But the main point is be you. If I were to do that or show up in a Porsche or something, and in a suit, people would be like, "That's not you, man." So be you. That's very, very critical. Be you. Okay. The next thing is be memorable. All right, and so. That's more about the content that you're creating. Okay, create content that is engaging and that's fun, and try to figure out like what it is that you want to call yourself, and refer to yourself as. And so in my branding, I'm the educational agent, and I picked that because I do a lot of educational stuff like this video here. I do weekly market reports. I do all sorts of stuff like that fits my brand. And so whatever that is, I mean, I've talked to people that actually learned a lot of this that I'm telling you today from a guy that calls himself the Cowboy Realtor. He's in Chicago. He collects Barbie dolls and he just owns it. He posts all of this stuff about, his cowboy, persona and his Barbie dolls on his social media and stuff about him. And people love it because it's unique and it's him. And so anyways, be memorable. All right, that's important, but also be consistent. That's kind of the next one. Is be consistent in what you're doing. Okay, and so if you create that name, like I'm the educational agent, this guy's the Cowboy Realtor, whatever that type of thing is, it's good to have something like that because you can then be consistent across all your platforms. Okay, and so when somebody goes to Facebook, you go facebook.com/the educational agent and you find me. If you go to Instagram, the educational agent, you find me, right? And so it's good to have that consistency across the board, okay? And you want to have the same picture, you want to have the same bio, you want to have the same links that link back to the same website, it's like your home website. You want to have the same name, like all of that needs to be consistent across all the platforms, okay? And then last but definitely not least is to just be compliant. So talk to your state broker, find out what if what your ideas are, share them with them and say, hey, I want to do this and brand myself as that way. And just run it by them. Because if you said, hey, look, I want to be Brian the realtor, they might say no, because being so-and-so, the realtor, isn't allowed. And so there's things like that you just want to make sure you run it by them before you go out there and get a bunch of stuff printed up and do all these things. So again, be you, be memorable, be consistent, and be compliant. Those are the four main things that I would say about branding. So hope that helps. Take a look at the next video we got going on for you about hashtags and tying that all back into your branding.